Once upon a time in a little shop, there were lots of clocks on the wall. They all had one job: to tell the time. All of them were good at it, too, except for one little clock. It wasn't a very old clock, but one day it stopped ticking. The other clocks whispered, "What's wrong with you? Why have you given up?" The little clock sighed and said, "I calculated. I must tick 60 times every minute, 3,600 times every hour, 86,400 times every day. That's too much. I cannot go on." The old clock next to it chuckled and said, "Don't think about the thousands of ticks ahead. Just focus on the next tick, and then the next. That's all you need." The little clock thought for a moment. It looked at the old clock and realized it was right. So it took a deep breath and started ticking again, one beat at a time. And soon it was back in rhythm, keeping time just as before. Moral of the story: don't worry about all the things that could go wrong. Just focus on the next right step, and then the next. That's all you need. Do you ever feel overwhelmed? Maybe you have lots of homework to do, or you're retrying to learn a new skill, like playing an instrument. Sometimes when we look to the future and see all the things we have to do, it can feel impossible. We may get so worried that we end up not doing anything. That's what the little clock did when it stopped ticking. It felt too overwhelmed to keep going, but the old clock was right. The little clock didn't need to think about all the ticks ahead. It just needed to focus on the next tick, and then the next. When we feel overwhelmed, it helps to break things down into smaller steps. That way we don't get so worried, and we can keep moving forward, one step at a time. Now I want to hear from you. What helps you when you feel overwhelmed? You can draw a picture, write a story, or even just write a few sentences. I can't wait to read your responses. Once upon a time in a classroom, there was a boy who sharpened his pencil until it was almost gone. All that was left was a tiny stub, barely an inch long. The other children began to laugh at him. "Why don't you throw it away? It's almost gone," they said. The boy just smiled and continued writing with his pencil. Even though the pencil was small, it still wrote clearly on the page. The boy didn't let the other children's laughter bother him. He knew that even a small pencil could do a great job. At the end of class, the teacher picked up the boy's pencil and looked at it. It was so small, but it had left clear words on the page. The teacher turned to the class and said, "Look at this. Even though it is small, it still serves its purpose. It teaches us that value does not depend on size or appearance, but on how well we are used." The children were quiet. They understood what the teacher meant. From that day on, they never laughed at the boy for using a small pencil. Once upon a time in a kingdom far, far away, there lived a beautiful princess. She had everything she could possibly want: a big castle, beautiful clothes, and kind servants. But she was unhappy. One day, the princess's father, the king, announced that he would throw a huge party. "I want all the people in the kingdom to come to the party," he said. "It'll be the biggest party we have ever thrown." The princess was in charge of picking out the food for the party. She walked into the kitchen and saw all the cooks preparing lots of delicious food. There were piles of fruits and vegetables, loaves of bread and cakes. The princess was happy. She knew that all the guests would enjoy the food. As the party began, people from all over the kingdom arrived. There were nobles and servants, farmers and merchants. All the guests were there. The princess greeted them all with a big smile. The party lasted for days. There was music and dancing. The princess joined in, and soon she was having the time of her life. She forgot all about her sadness. Finally, the party was over. The princess sat on a chair, exhausted but happy. She had helped to make the biggest party in the kingdom, and she had made many new friends. As she looked around at all the smiling faces, she realized that she was truly blessed. The princess learned that happiness did not come from having everything she wanted, but from making the most of what she had. Once upon a time, there was a carpenter who was building a chair. In his box of nails, there were many shiny new nails. They were all perfect except for one. One nail was slightly bent. The carpenter picked it up, looked at it, and tried to hammer it in, but it just bent even more. "Oh no," he said. "This nail is useless." He tossed it aside and got to work on the chair. He hammered in the straight nails until he had finished. Then he stood back to admire his work. It was a beautiful chair, but he couldn't help but look at the bent nail. He thought, "I should throw that thing away. It's just trash." But then he had an idea. He picked up the nail and examined it closely. Just maybe he could use it somewhere. He went over to an old, wobbly door and pushed it open. It had a loose hinge, and when he looked at it closely, he saw that the bent nail would fit perfectly into the awkward angle where a straight nail could not. With a smile, he hammered the nail into place. And wouldn't you know it, the door closed properly for the first time in years. The carpenter was so happy, thought even a bent nail has its place. From that day on, whenever he saw a bent nail, he didn't throw it away. He kept it in his box of nails, and when he needed it, he knew exactly where to find it. The carpenter in the story is a wise man. He learned that even a bent nail has its place, which means that everyone has value, even if they seem imperfect. What looks like weakness in one situation may be strength in another. Instead of discarding people, we should learn to see where each person's unique shape belongs. And remember, friends, you are not a nail. You are much more than that. You are valuable, you are loved, and you have a purpose. Don't ever forget that. Now I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been like the carpenter? Did you ever try to fix something and make it even worse? Please share your thoughts below. I can't wait to read them. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video if you think someone else will like it. I'll see you next time.